Today we're taking a look at the 2016 Nissan Pathfinder SV. So let's go ahead and start it up. Take a look. Now in this video we're not going to go into too much detail about the Nissan Pathfinder. We're only going to be going over what features become standard when upgrading from the S model to the SV model, which is this one. So let's go ahead and get started. Now on the outside it's very similar looking to the Nissan Pathfinder SV. There's not too many dead giveaways. The Nissan Pathfinder S actually offers a lot of standard features that make the upgrade to the SV almost not noticeable. But what you do notice coming up to the Nissan Pathfinder is now the Nissan Pathfinder will offer you this little button here. Now what the button is for is if you have the Nissan Intelligent Key with you, you can actually unlock and lock your doors. So it just makes communicating with the car a whole lot easier. You never have to take the key out of sight of your pocket to open the doors or even turn on the vehicle. That is a feature that is not available on the S model, but it is available once you upgrade to the SV. And now coming around to the back, there are a few key differences here that you will notice a little bit more easily. One of course is you're now seeing these sensors here in the back. That is because the Nissan Pathfinder SV offers standard rear sonar system. So if you don't see something in the backup camera, which is also something added here on the SV model, you are gonna hear it with the sonar system. So they kind of work together to help you avoid a collision when backing up or parking or anything like that. The rear sonars are going to be on. Of course you can turn them on if you decide to, but for the most part they're going to be on, and they're going to sense anything a couple feet away from you, and as soon as you start getting closer the beep will increase, kind of let you know that the distance between you and the object is decreasing. And in case you don't hear it or whatever, you always again have that backup camera, which is accessible right there. As soon as you put the car in reverse, that backup camera will turn on, and you will start to see what's behind you on the display screen. Once we get on the inside, I'll show you where that is. But aside from that, there's not too many dead giveaways. We're just going to do one quick walk around the vehicle, just so we kind of see how the Nissan Pathfinder looks. In this particular color, this is the brilliant silver that we're taking a look at today. Of course, the Nissan Pathfinder still retains a nice V6 3.5 liter 260 horsepower in this vehicle. Again, you're still going to be able to tow 5,000 pounds on the Nissan Pathfinder. Now, one small thing that does become standard when upgrading to the Nissan Pathfinder SV is what we're looking at down here. So you now have standard fog lights on the Pathfinder SV. So if that's all you're looking for, you don't have to upgrade to any higher end models. The Nissan Pathfinder SV is going to offer that standard now. Now the rest of the features that we're going to notice that are going to be more like kind of like a dead giveaway are going to be inside of the vehicle. So let's go ahead and move inside and see what else has changed. Now as soon as we open up the door, there are key things that kind of pop out at you that you're going to notice right away. For one, of course, the seat now for the driver is actually a power seat here. So it's one dead giveaway right there. Another is once you step inside, you're starting to see the radio has been upgraded. So it's not that basic radio anymore. It's a more upgraded display with a backup camera included in that. Once we actually hop into the vehicle, you're going to notice once we turn it on, there are a few key things that changed. We're going to go through them one by one just so you have a more of an idea of what has changed specifically. So with the drive assist display, like I mentioned in the previous video, once you upgrade to the SV, you're going to notice one more screen is added. That screen that we're talking about is going to be the tire pressure monitoring system. So once we actually get on the road and everything and drive a little bit, the vehicle is going to be able to identify the individual tire pressure for each 4 tires. And it's going to be displayed in this little screen right here. It's going to show you all 4 tires, the front and the rear tires, and left and right. And it's going to let you know the individual tire pressure, and if one of your tires is low, it's going to let you know there, and also in the warning screen right there. So on the drive assist display, that is one thing that has changed. Now taking a look at the steering wheel, however, something that is new is of course now it is leather wrapped. So it just adds a little bit more elegance to the Nissan Pathfinder SV. So aside from bringing a lot of value to this trim level, it's also going to offer a lot of elegance too. Another thing to note with the steering wheel, aside now from just having the audio controls on the steering wheel, which the previous model did have, a couple new buttons that are added, if you can tell, are these two right here. So that is because now the Nissan Pathfinder SV is going to offer you Bluetooth. So it's not just going to give you Bluetooth, it's also going to give you the option for Bluetooth streaming. So you can actually stream stuff now in this new 7-inch display available on the Nissan Pathfinder. But we're going to get into detail a little bit later as far as how everything's going to work with that. Now, again, moving on from that, of course you do have Bluetooth calling, so you can always answer the phone call here and end the phone call right here, as well as do some basic voice commands, like sending a phone call to somebody or just answering the phone, basic information like that. What's different here in the light switch, of course, is now the Nissan Pathfinder SV also adds automatic headlights. So the headlights will turn on and off depending on how the weather is outside or the time of day. So if it's nighttime, the lights of course are going to be on. In the daytime, they're going to be off. When it's raining and you have your windshield wipers passed 3 times, the Nissan Pathfinder is going to automatically turn on your headlights. And of course we have this little fog light switch because of course now the fog lights are standard. So again, it is bringing a lot of features which are really nice to have, and again coming at a great value. And I did mention of course the power seating, so it power adjusts up, down, front and back, and then of course the back is adjustable itself. And one more thing to notice here, aside from just having now the windshield wiper able to pass, you can actually now go into a little bit more fine detail as far as the speed. So as this goes down, the speed goes lower and higher. So again, just something small, but now the Nissan Pathfinder gives you a little bit more customization when it comes to your windshield wipers, which is kind of a nice feature to have, you know, something that's overlooked in some other cars. And now moving on to the center console. Before I get into a little bit more detail with how the display actually works and what sort of features you offer with that, I kind of want to demonstrate really quickly the backup camera. So we're just going to shift into reverse, and you can see the backup camera turns on with trajectory as well. So as I turn the steering wheel, it's actually going to let me know where the vehicle is headed. Now if I start going into reverse, you can see how the backup camera and the rear sonar work together. So as I start approaching the vehicle behind me, if I start getting really close, you start hearing a beep, and you also get the little notification there in the drive assist display. Now if I get closer, the beep becomes faster until just about when I'm gonna hit, it'll go into a solid beep. That's kind of letting me know that I should, you know, really more than likely stop the vehicle, which again is a nice feature to have. So in case you're not able to see it too well in the backup camera, you of course always have the rear sonar sensors to kind of you know, notify you a little bit better as to what exactly is behind you. And one neat little feature that is added here is the rear view mirror. Now of course the previous model had a rear view mirror, but what is unique about this one here in specific, it has the home link transceiver, so you can actually connect it to a garage door or a fence or anything like that. It has the IR blaster, so just, you know, able to hook it up pretty easily. But aside from that, it's also an auto dimming rear view mirror. So that means if someone's headlights are bright and really just getting in your rear view mirror, the vehicle is actually able to dim them down so they actually don't blind you. So it works kind of in unison with, of course, the tinted windows that the Nissan Pathfinder already does have. But if someone's headlights are actually too bright and they're actually starting to blind you, you don't have to worry about it, because the Nissan Pathfinder SV with the home link transceiver and auto dimming rear view mirror are going to be able to help you out. Now just a little small things to note, kind of a nice to have but not really necessary, is of course the Nissan Pathfinder SV offers now the dual illuminated vanity mirrors. So now both of you have like the rear view, the little mirror here, as well as a little light kind of to give you assistance in being able to see stuff at night. So again, something small, but of course it's nice to point out because of course the Nissan Pathfinder SV does offer it. And speaking of small, nice to have features, another thing that is added with the Nissan Pathfinder SV is auto up and down power mirrors. So press one button, it'll go down. Press the other button, it'll go right back up. And that is for both the driver and the passenger. So, and down. And you have the little auto switch for the passenger as well. So again, not big major things like features to have, but of course it is nice to include that. And of course, if you don't want it to have auto, you just press it down a little bit and you can manually set it to wherever you want it. But of course, some little tiny features, and of course it is again nice to have. Now, moving on to the entertainment system, which is actually one of the biggest features with the Nissan Pathfinder SV, is of course you do have this nice 7-inch display here, which is going to let you communicate with the vehicle, get some basic information off of that. So you can always check the status of the vehicle, which lets you know what the current temperature is, what you have the fan set as. And of course you see 1660, that's because this one has individual air conditioning control, so you can actually have different temperatures in different sizes of the cabin. Now that is a feature that was standard on the S model. Now it's presented a little bit nicer here on the SV model, and it shows you what radio station is playing, what song, stuff like that. Moving on to the info section, it's going to be able to let you know when your maintenance is due and what your fuel economy currently is. So as we start driving, you have your little bar here that goes up and down, kind of let you know how you're driving, your distance to empty. Right now it's not marking too much because of course we do have the low fuel warning thing, but once you actually fill up, it'll let you know what your distance to empty is, and as well as your current history of how you've been driving. So it's kind of teaching you how to be a little bit more fuel efficient, how to let off the gas a little bit, how not to be, you know, so on it so much. Of course you do have the brightness. You can set the brightness lower or higher depending on your preference, or you can leave it on auto, which will make it bright in the daytime, a little bit dim in the nighttime. But of course you do have that up to yourself. You do of course have back buttons, so whenever you find yourself in a different screen and you want to get out of it, let's say you go into info, you press back. Settings, you can always press back. Now you have it on both the passenger side and the driver side, so you have back here, they both do the exact same thing, but you have it in different locations. Moving on to the settings screen, lets you kind of tweak things a little bit. Now I'm using this directional pad here, but what you also have is a roller where you can roll it up and down, so you don't actually have to just use the pad itself, but to enter, of course, you do have to press the enter button there. Now there's a couple settings that you can tweak. You can tweak the display, of course, the color, the background, stuff like that. Now the audio system, you can actually make it to your preference to see how you want it set. And of course you do have speed sensitive value, so if you start going a little bit faster, the wind noise starts to get louder. You can of course always tweak that there. Going on to the settings here for the display, you can of course the brightness, the contrast, and the background color. So if you don't like that, you can always change it to something a little bit different. So yeah, that's kind of a little brief rundown there of what the settings screen is like. Now moving on here down to the bottom is where we have a little bit more things to choose from. So of course you can press AM, FM, and go to the AM screen. The disc, if you put in a disc here, you can always of course check it through that. Auxiliary, that's what you're going to use to alter whether you're listening to USB through satellite radio, Bluetooth audio, or on auxiliary jacks. So those jacks here are going to be located in the little center armrest here. Of course what you're seeing is USB if you want to plug in and charge an iPod or an iPhone or something like that to listen to music. You can plug it in right there. You're going to have 3 power outlets here, so you have 2 in the center console here and then 1 here. And of course you do have the 3 RCA plugins, so you have 2 audio, 1 video. You're going to be able to use that for auxiliary as well. You could plug something here like a DVD player or your sound system through a phone or anything like that, and be able to listen to your music just like that. So it makes connecting to the vehicle a whole lot easier. Of course you do alter that through there. Now right now it's not altering it through it because the only thing we have set up is XM radio. But if you do connect something like an iPod or anything music related or even video related through the USB or through the RCA cables, you're going to be able to see all that through the screen here, and of course access it through the auxiliary, but it's going to be able to play your movies, your DVD, anything that you plug in right in the screen here. Of course, to be able to play movies and stuff like that, you do have to have the handbrake on and put the vehicle in parking, you know, for obvious legal reasons. But of course you do have that nice option, so if you guys are going on a road trip somewhere or just somewhere far away, the Nissan Pathfinder SV already includes a DVD system. And moving on here, of course, you do have your basic controls, so you can control the radio stations that's playing, and of course control the volume here. Now the AC controls have actually moved down from the previous model. They were a little bit more up here. Now they're a little bit more easy to use. So of course you have independent here. You have to press for auto if you decide to. You have the fan speed here, and of course the passenger has whether they want to cool or heat in their side. You have your defroster here for both the rear and the front. Recirculation, and of course the rear button, that's going to control what you want the rear temperature to be. So of course you're going to be able to control that here, and even set the individual fan speed here in the back. And then of course if you want to take it off, turn it off, you can always control it right through there. So again, that kind of wraps up what the display here it does and what it features and all the stuff it has. Again, that's one of the center control consoles of the new Pathfinder SV. It offers again a lot of features and communicate with the car in a whole different way. Now it's one of the biggest features to have when upgrading to the SV from the S. And again, just moving on, another thing to have, of course, your steering wheel was leather wrapped, and so is now the shifter, so it just adds a little bit more elegance to it. But besides that, the Nissan Pathfinder SV still offers cloth seating. The space is still relatively the same from the front and the rears. Now we're going to cover that kind of briefly, kind of quickly. We mostly did that in the S model, but again, we're still going to take another look at it just to kind of run down in case you didn't see the S model video, just to see what the space is like. Now coming around here to the back, is pretty much still the same story as the S model here. You still of course have the nice cloth seats that are stain resistant. You still have your AC controls back here. Being able to access the rear seats are still pretty much the same here. You still pull the lever, slide the seat forward, and have again access to the rear seating. And of course it's seating for 7, and you still have your nice cup holders out there at the side. But yeah, pretty much still the same vehicle, same amount of space. And moving on to the tail of the vehicle, still the same way to actually operate and open and close the tailgate. The space remains the same, of course. The little button here to open it, still located in the same spot. But that's pretty much all the changes that are offered in the Nissan Pathfinder SV. Again, it does give a lot of value, a lot of bang for your buck, and of course it's not too big of a price difference, but it does have a lot of really definitely nice features to have. Now, one of the features that I didn't talk about on the outside, which I should have earlier, is of course in the Nissan Pathfinder SV, you also have what's offered is a remote engine start. So we're going to demonstrate that just right now. So of course this little button here that you see at the top of the new Nissan Intelligent Key is a remote engine start button. So to start the vehicle, you first have to lock it, press the button for a couple of seconds, and then the vehicle is going to turn on. So again, something small, but definitely something nice to have in the Nissan Pathfinder. You don't have to worry about the vehicle being too hot or too cold when you get inside the vehicle. It's going to automatically start if you press the button, so the AC is going to turn on and put it to an optimum temperature where it's not too hot, not too cold, so it's perfect. Anytime you get inside the vehicle, your vehicle is going to be ready for you at the perfect temperature that you decide to have it. So that's going to wrap it up there. This has been your quick look at the 2016 Nissan Pathfinder SV.